All right, let's talk about something that most businesses, well, they kind of dread: cybersecurity compliance. It often feels like just another chore, right? Another box you have to tick. But what if I told you that for companies in a place like Hyderabad, it's not just a headache, it's actually a secret weapon, a massive advantage for growth? We're going to break down exactly how.
Okay, so here's what we've got on top. We'll kick things off with Hyderabad's tech scene, then dive into the new data rules and the hurdles you might face. From there, we'll get into a solid action plan, talk about finding the right partner, and wrap up by showing you how this all becomes a serious competitive edge. Let's get to it.
First up, Hyderabad's high-stakes tech scene. Let's set the stage because what's happening there is pretty unique. And frankly, the stakes couldn't be higher. So I want you to think about this for a second. I mean, really think about it. Is your business data secure? We're talking about everything: your customer lists, your code, all that valuable IP. Is it actually safe? In a city like Hyderabad, that's not just some abstract high-stakes question. It's the question. Because when you're a global tech hub, the answer to that question can literally mean the difference between success and, well, failure. So why does this matter so much, specifically in Hyderabad? Well, look at this. The city's got this booming IT and startup scene, which is amazing, but it also paints a huge target on its back. Cybercriminals, they follow the money, and the money is in the data. And now you've got these strict new government rules coming into play, so the risk isn't just getting hacked. It's about facing massive fines and, maybe even worse, completely losing the trust your customers have in you. That's a double whammy.
Okay, so the stakes are clearly high. The big question then is, how do you even begin to navigate all this? Well, it all starts with understanding the new rules of the game, the new rules of data. The core of all this is what's called a compliance framework. Now, I know that sounds super corporate and complicated, but it's not. The analogy here is perfect. Just think of it as a digital building code for your business. It's the set of rules and best practices, the blueprint, really, for how to manage and protect your data and your systems the right way. And there's a bit of an alphabet soup of these building codes you need to know about. Let's look at the big three. You've got India's own DPDP Act, which, let's be clear, applies to pretty much every business processing data in the country. Then there's ISO 27001. That's the global benchmark for showing you're serious about security. And finally, GDPR. If you have any customers in the EU, this one's an absolute must. So step one is just figuring out which of these playbooks you need to follow.
Right, so knowing the rules is one thing. Actually following them, that's a whole other ballgame. And let's be honest, for a lot of companies, the road to compliance is packed with some pretty common hurdles. First up is a big one: a lack of in-house expertise. Finding people who are experts in both the nitty-gritty tech and the tangled web of legal rules, they're like unicorns. They're rare, they're expensive, and most companies just can't afford to have them on staff. And then there's the fact that these regulations are constantly changing. It's like you're trying to hit a moving target. What's perfectly fine today might be out of compliance tomorrow. The rules just don't stand still. Then you've got the high cost of audits. And we're not just talking about buying some new software. We're talking about formal audits, testing your defenses, training your people. It all adds up to a pretty serious and, importantly, ongoing expense. And last but not least, there's data sprawl. Think about it. Your data isn't neatly tucked away in one server room anymore. No way. It's everywhere. It's on the cloud, it's on your employees' laptops, it's in all these different software tools you use. Trying to secure data that's spread out all over the place, that is a massive challenge. Okay, so with all those hurdles, you might be thinking, where do I even start? It can feel a little overwhelming, for sure. But the good news is, there's a clear path forward. Let's lay out your compliance action plan. And here it is, a 6-step path to getting it done. It's a really logical process. You start by assessing which regulations even apply to you. Then you define what you're trying to achieve and build your policies around that. After that, you get to the tech stuff, implementing the controls. But and this is key, it doesn't stop there. Steps 5 and 6, training your people and constantly improving, that's what makes this a living, breathing part of your company culture, not just some one-off project. Now, even with a plan, that can feel like a lot to take on. But here's the thing, you don't have to go it alone.
In fact, choosing the right partner to help you on this journey can make all the difference in the world.
So, what should you be looking for in a compliance partner? Think of this as your checklist. You need someone who has real, proven experience, especially with companies in the Hyderabad IT sector. You want them to be totally transparent about how they work. They need to have the technical chops and the legal know-how. And this last one is super important. Find someone who's going to stick with you after you get certified to help you stay compliant.
And just to be real about it, let's talk timeline and cost. For a typical journey, you're looking at somewhere between 2 to 6 months to get everything in place and be ready for certification. And the cost? It can range from around 2 to 15 lakhs, depending on how big and complex your business is. So yeah, it's definitely an investment. And that brings us perfectly to our final and maybe most important point. Let's talk about the payoff, the return on that investment. This is where everything clicks. This is where we stop thinking about compliance as a cost and start seeing it for what it truly is, a powerful, powerful competitive edge. And we're not just talking hypotheticals here. This stuff can be measured. Take this number, 25%. What do you think that represents? It's not just a boost in sales or something like that. No, it's something far more fundamental to your business. It represents keeping your customers happy. It represents loyalty. Here's a real story from right there in Hyderabad. A software company over in High-Tech City, they went through the process, got their ISO 27001 certification, and the result? They cut down the number of clients leaving them by a whopping 25%. That's huge. That's real money saved. And it's not just about playing defense, about keeping the customers you have. It's also about offense. It's about growth. Look at this example, a data analytics firm that had its eyes on the European market. By getting aligned with GDPR, they did more than just dodge some fines. They basically got a passport to do business across an entire continent. That's a game changer. So really, it all boils down to this. It's about a shift in mindset. You can look at compliance as a chore, right? A cost you have to pay, a reactive, defensive thing. Or you can see it as an advantage. A strategic investment, a way to be proactive and drive growth, a way to truly set yourself apart from everyone else. So as we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final thought, one question to ask yourself and your team. Is your compliance strategy just about defense, or is it your next big offensive move? How you answer that, well, that could define your entire future.